Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Simplicity TV. I am Jen Pike, your host, and this is Cut the BS Wednesdays, where we talk about real, raw topics and information that really you need to know in order to be able to add that level of simplicity and ease into your life that we all talk about and that ultimately we're all after. Today I have one of my very closest friends, Laura Foster, who's also a chiropractor on the show today, so thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Nice.
So, yeah, it is nice. No, it's cozy. Charlie's here on the couch with us, and he can be cross-legged, and it's okay. She'll growl if you actually stop petting her. It's one of your prerequisites as a guest.
I can do it.
So one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on today, you've been on various episodes of shows that we've done in the past, but I wanted to have you on to talk about a couple of things. One being the whole idea around really what chiropractic is providing for our bodies. I know a lot of people think that you only go to chiropractor if you have back pain, right? That's what, you know, a lot of chiropractors have been known as or known for. But for those of us who work closely with yourself and other chiropractors in the field and have exposed our children and ourselves to it, there's so much more to chiropractic care and the whole lifestyle around chiropractic. And I know that we have a lot of conversations that stem way beyond the spine, and even the physical body, in the sense of the other parts and aspects of our lives that are impacting what you are seeing on the table in patients' bodies, you know, and in their lives. And so I thought it would be great to have you come on and just shed some perspective and some information around that.
Well, thank you, first of all, because I love it when we talk about the broad spectrum of chiropractic. Because when we talk about back pain and neck pain and headaches, which, you know, frankly, chiropractic is awesome for, that's such a limited scope about what we do. So the bigger story is that even though you're going to a chiropractor and we're working with your spine and we're doing all that, we're really working with the nervous system. And if you understand that aspect and you recognize that a chiropractic analysis and a series of chiropractic adjustments is working with your nervous system, not so much your spine, then it has a whole new projection about what you're looking at. So, for example, in my office, I have babies who are hours old, like, you know, maybe even a day old, and then we have patients who are in their 90s. And I approach them the same way in that when we're working with a patient, we're looking and we're analyzing their spinal column, but we're looking to see where it is that they might have interference to the proper functioning of their nervous system. So who doesn't have that potential to have happen? Your nervous system, you're living your life through your nervous system. It's the way you perceive your outside environment. It's the way you adapt to your internal environment. And if your body's in balance and your nervous system's functioning well, then that whole organic dynamic process is occurring the way it's supposed to. But whether you have physical stressors on your body or you have mental, emotional stressors on your body, which we all do, especially children, or you have chemical and metabolic stressors on your body, which really, I mean, we could just name off 65 different things that are affecting our system on a metabolic level, you know, just even from diet to GMOs, especially for children. You know, the toxins, intentional and unintentional, that affect our system every day. All of that is constantly flooding through your nervous system. And we have no sense of, like, no great sense for what your nervous system is doing all the time. It's constantly taking this in and adjusting this and making this system coordinate with that system and respond and so on. But when that starts to become greater than what our body can handle, then it starts to affect the way our nervous system is functioning, and then you start to see imbalances.
And that's where, you know, it's so true. We don't really understand, for the most part, to know about this, because when are we ever in a situation where we're being educated on this truthfully? You know, it's not, unless you're having these conscious discussions with your children, or you have somebody in your life that's already involved in that and is bringing that knowledge to you. You're not learning this in school. You're not, you know, I mean, even most of us in the holistic industry or medical industry, it's kind of touched on, it's nudged on, but it might not necessarily be in the volume or the tone that you need in order for it to make an impact. You know, when you talk about living your life through your nervous system and we may not notice that we've taken too much on, this is when we start to see people that are living in that part of the nervous system where they're very anxious, you know, they're strung out, they're overdrive because they're overscheduled, and, you know.
And their system's no longer adapting, they're now compensating. So their nervous system's doing what it can. It's pulling from this system to get to this system. It shows up in lots of ways. It shows up as pain, discomfort, back pain, headaches, hormonal imbalances, lowered immunity, sleep issues, Anxiety. I mean, that's the big one, right? Anxiety. There's a perfect example of living in sympathetic overtone. We call that sympathetic overtone.
Yeah.
And when you're in that overdrive state, and that's kind of something I'm always kind of checking in with practice members, is if I can see, because there's indicators in the body that you can see that someone's nervous system is on overdrive. And I say it's like having your foot on the gas pedal. You know, you're constantly revving, right? And I'll see that in the tone of the nervous system when I'm adjusting somebody.
And their breathing and how their body, their holding patterns.
Yes.
It's, you know, for those of you who've never had tonal adjustments done before, it's really cool. And it's really cool when you're sitting back and watching either your spouse or your children getting adjusted, because you can actually see the physiological, so not just their physical body, but mentally and emotionally. You see it all unfold on the table. I notice it first in their breathing. So when they get on the table, they might be a bit more rigid and stiff and higher up, and then you just start to see them melting down and melting down and melting down.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I have always recognized is that you can go in with what you perceive to be the area of most discomfort. So you go in with a neck issue, and you think, okay, well, I'm going to go in and all they're going to do is adjust my neck and focus on my neck because that's what's bothering me. And you spend a lot of time at the feet and in the low back. Like, it's almost like you move around it. It's this really incredible dance of.
That's exactly how I describe it. And you know, the interesting part of that is people are so incredibly dynamic. I mean, we know that, but when you're adjusting someone, you see it. It's like a wave of shift and change.
Yeah.
And I think it's important as a chiropractor that you're bringing people to that awareness, right? So it's also about the level of discussion you're having with a practice member, that, you know, you're creating an increased level of consciousness. So talking about certain things and recognizing that connection exists is part of creating that relationship with your body. And that, to me, is the window into truly starting to understand and listen to your body and allow your body to have all the different aspects that it requires in your lifestyle. So adjusting being one part of it.
Yeah.
But you just said it's not just about adjusting, it's a lifestyle. I say that all the time to people. Yeah, I can adjust you and I can help your body literally make the correction. However, in the big scheme of things, it's everything you talk about.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, what are you eating and how are you hydrating yourself and what activities do you give yourself as an opportunity to allow your body unwind and ground itself. You know, who do you hang out with? How do you spend your moments in time? What do you watch on TV? I mean, you could just go on
and on
and on and on.
Yeah.
And all of those things have an impact.
What's really cool to me is that we've had a variety of guests on the show talk about many different things. So we've had, people come on and talk about energetic healing, talk about hydrocolon therapy, about mindfulness, about, different types of practice, natural medicine, hormone balancing, whatever it may be. And at the end of the day, every single practitioner comes back with the same pieces of information, which is it's really about the foundation you create for your body and all those moving pieces, how you're eating, how you're sleeping, the people you're surrounding yourself with, the quality of your relationships. And it's that core message of trying to get everybody to understand that it all matters and that you can't just select and be like, well, I'm just gonna focus on this, right?
Listen, you're not fooling your mind body.
Yeah.
It's not like you're over here and it's over there, like as if these two things are separate. They are working together. So everything, like you said, is either adding to or taking away. And I guess the flip side of that would be you're incredibly empowered to make changes. It's not like things are all built into your genetic pool. It very, very much doesn't have to do with your genetics.
Right.
Genetics is like 5 to 8% of what goes on. The rest, everything else is about your lifestyle choices.
Yeah. And whether or not you're giving your body the ability to turn those cells on in a positive way or a negative way.
Yes. Empowering.
Yes.
But the responsibility then comes back to you. So the question is, are you listening or are you not listening? Because if you're not listening, then all of those layers of compensations, they just start building and building, and there's only one way your body can talk to you, and it's through symptoms.
Yeah.
And instead of shutting symptoms down, which is, I would say, more the medical model of things, you want to be uncovering and appreciating and showing gratitude for your body in those difficult moments. And I know it's not easy. Just to understand that your body's simply trying to tell you something. It's like a crying baby. There's one language, we don't know how to do it.
Yeah,
so,
and it's I'm pissed off, listen to me now and provide me a solution.
Right. And if you could do that now rather than later,
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
And if, it starts like this, and then it's a nudge, and then it is a full-fledged kick in the ass, and, and whatever it looks like. But the point being is that you fool yourself if you think that the time that you can't get up off the couch or you have a major anxiety attack is the first time that you were ever told that there's something out of balance.
Right.
There are always small little messages that start to compound one after another. And like you said, you can't look at these things as being disconnected. A lot of times, and let me just use a very sort of typical example, if someone comes into me for, say, back pain, and I spend all my time working on the upper part of their nervous system, they're so confused by that. It's that constantly trying to recognize, you're a whole being.
Yeah.
Right? Like this all has to do with one another. And so I can't just address you in one compound area.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it's so cool. So for families, for individuals, for anybody who's interested in that, and I say that type of chiropractic because I know there's many different modalities of treatment as a chiropractor, but it is very different than what a lot of people are used to. They think that most chiropractors do a lot of manual and do a lot of cracking, and you do some of that as well too, but it's a very organic approach because for every patient you're going to have a slightly different
You are. Babies, you're going to use
treatment.
very, very light pressure, fingertip pressure. It's not about me overwhelming the system, it's about me working with the system. So I heard you use the word tonal, and tonal just means that you're appreciating literally the tone like a guitar string of what the nervous system's doing. So the adjustments match that. I'll either use light pressure with my hands or I'll use an adjusting instrument, but it's not necessary to make changes and to augment the healing process by using a lot of force. And some people do very traditional manual adjusting, and some people are incredibly gentle at it, and it's a beautiful approach. It's just not the approach I do.
Right.
But I would say that, there's lots of different kinds of chiropractors.
Yeah.
There's kind of what I would call limited scope, and then there's what I would call full spectrum, meaning that they work a lot on the lifestyle and sort of the whole body approach to everything. They're going to have discussions with you about many things other than just what your spine and nervous system are doing. And there's different ways. There's like 100 different types of techniques in chiropractic.
Yeah, thank goodness, right? And everything.
Right.
It's like it's so fantastic that we have all of those options and opportunities. Sometimes it's just about, how do you get started? So for people who are local, they can find you at www.fosterchiropractic.com.
Yes.
You're located in Newmarket.
We are.
And even if you don't live in Newmarket, it is definitely worth the drive. We drive
Depending
there.
on where you live.
Depending on where, no, it's always worth the drive. And so that's the best place for them to contact you. And for those who aren't local, how would they find out where they can find a chiropractor like that?
Well, we try and find chiropractors for people all the time.
Awesome.
So we're not even against you, going on our website, finding our email, sending us a message and saying, this is where I live and this is my postal code, and can you connect me up with somebody?
Yeah, because I see you all the time on Facebook putting that out there and saying
like
great chiropractor.
On my.
So there you go. There's your
spectrum.
one-stop resource. Doesn't mean it's a one-stop where you physically have to be, but you can tap into to your connections.
Fabulous
for people.
chiropractors everywhere. Just such a huge support in addition to all the other things that you can be doing.
So, final tip for our viewers, what is one small shift that they could create in their life today where they're going to feel the impact on their nervous system and how they feel tomorrow?
I always start with mindset, right? I mean, there's things you could eat, there's things you could do to move your body, and those would all be helpful. But I would say, if your body's feeling overwhelmed, if you're not happy with how you're feeling, if you feel like you're in overdrive in some respects, then I think it's really important to get your brain going in the right direction. And I would say be really clear about where you are, what's not working for you, and what you want to change.
Awesome. Fantastic. And that's how we will leave it right there. Lots of great information today. I hope you have the opportunity to take some notes. If not, the beauty is you can go back and watch this again, and to reach out to Laura Foster at www.fosterchiropractic.com, and be sure to tune in next week for our next episode of Simplicity TV. Have a fantastic day.